Hello, this is Dr. Mike, and we are beginning a short lecture on the first of this week's topics. As an introduction to change management and organizational development, I want to just mention a few things to you very briefly about what's encompassed in the understanding of this course, and I think it will be helpful to you. First of all, I want to define organizational development. Organizational development is a system-wide application, if you will, and a transfer of behavioral science knowledge to the plan development, the improvement, and the reinforcement of strategies, structures, and processes that lead to organizational effectiveness. Now, that's a big statement there. I'll try to break that down into something a little more digestible, but it is about bringing behavioral sciences into the marketplace. Psychology, human resources, all these things have these social science elements to them to help us understand not only our employees, but how they work and the work-life balance is necessary for them to be happy. Organizational development does differ from change management, which we will try to delineate briefly for you shortly, but they are two different things. It's about change and about survival in our world. Our world's actually becoming much smaller, and it becomes smaller every day due to the internet, due to the explosion of information. Do you understand that all of man's information now doubles every 18 months? That means every 18 months, everything we know, we have twice as much to deal with. That flood of information is almost overwhelming, and we have to manage that in a business sense. One of the things that's happened with computers that have been helpful and even sometimes overwhelming is that we can now analyze and consider the different aspects of work and how things get done, how we can be more efficient. And it has raised the efficiency tremendously so that now we can produce more goods for less across the board. So our world is becoming very much smaller. There are trends in three different areas that are shaping our organizations, and these three areas are important to you: globalization, information technology, and then managerial innovation. Those three things kind of go and link together in this idea of change management. Let's look at each of those three just briefly and make some comments about them. Globalization is changing the markets and the environments in which organizations operate, as well as the way they function. We do things differently today than we did even 10 years ago. You understand that 10 years ago there would have been no such thing as an online class or online training, because those were cutting edge new things that have come about because of the information highway. Because of that, as I've said already, we live in a smaller world. We're more interconnected. We have greater interdependence on each other. Nobody is an island anymore. No country is an island. That we are a part of a world that is interconnected. Information now, you know things within seconds, where before it might take you months or even a year to find out things. Now we can analyze what trade is doing to us, or what a country's embargoes or their tariffs are doing. And of course, if you listen to those words, you realize that is a very current discussion within our government. But information technology is revolutionizing how work is performed, how knowledge is used, how business is organized, and it's transacted. Now, what effect does that have on you as an employee? You either join the group and get on the bandwagon, or you get left behind. Think about that. With these things, you say, well, that doesn't apply to me with what I'm doing. Every aspect of work today, whether you're a nurse or whether you're in cybersecurity or whether you are a greeter at Walmart, you cannot even fill out an application anymore on a paper application. Everything is interconnected. Everything is online. If you want to do something scary, go to the internet and Google your name and see what people know about you, because your knowledge, my knowledge, everybody's knowledge is out there and it's being used. So information technology is revolutionizing how work is performed, how business is organized. Artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, robotics, biotechnology, the Internet of Things, quantum computing, they're all progressing at an exponential rate. And you and I have to somehow have to figure out how to keep up with that. We think about the idea of digital publishing and online courses, as I've said already, would not have been heard of 10 to 20 years ago, but they're transforming how we deliver knowledge and how we deliver education. You have 3D, 4D printers now that can literally print a working gun or a working body part. My brother's father-in-law recently had back surgery, and they literally printed him on a 3D printer a vertebrae that was, or the Cushing between the vertebrae that was put into his back to relieve the pain from a ruptured disc. Think about that. That is absolutely phenomenal. We're on the edge of having a working artificial 3D printed heart. All these things are absolutely phenomenal. This fourth industrial revolution, and that's what I wish to call that, is not without serious risk and problems. That for you as an individual, how you're going to work in the future, how you're going to survive in the world of work, for organizations and societies. They're all seriously important, and we need to consider those things as we think about work. The third piece of that is managerial innovation, and that's a big part of change management. Has responded to the globalization and the information technology trends and has accelerated their impact on organizations. The ability to move information easily and inexpensively throughout and among organizations has fueled the downsizing, the delayering, and the restructuring of firms. A company that is going to function in this world today has to be very lean and well managed. You cannot afford to keep someone on your payroll who is not performing. Every employee has to pay for themselves and has to be a vital part of the cog. You don't need 5 of something. You need one person who is able to do well. The internet has enabled new forms of work in organizations, such as virtual teams. You don't have to fly people across the country for a business meeting now. You can do it virtually on the computer through Facebook or Skype or any of these other forms. You can have virtual teams of people that are around the world that have different abilities and different strengths that they bring to the team in order to make that company work better. So you don't have to spend all the time traveling and going to meetings that you once did. In reality, you can do it virtually from your desk. Telecommuting, many people work from home now. They don't have to fight the traffic or whatever else, but they can be just as viable with a computer from home as they would be in a location. Platform organizations, flash organizations, network organizations, all of these things are a part of this managerial way of innovating and leading a company. Change innovations like downsizing or re-engineering have radically reduced the size of organizations, increased their flexibility, and new large group interventions such as the search conference or the open space have increased the speed that organizations can change, and that change can take place very, very rapidly. So what is change management? We talk about organizational development. Change management, think about it, when your organization undertakes projects or initiatives or to improve performance or seize opportunities or address key issues, they often require changes. Changes in processes, changes in job roles, organizational structures, types and uses of technology. We've talked about these trends in globalization, information technology, managerial innovation, underscore the key role that organizational development plays in helping organizations change themselves. But change management, on the other hand, is the discipline that guides how we prepare, how we equip, how we support individuals to successfully adopt change in order to drive institutional organizational success and the outcomes. those developments are important. Those supports are very important. Individual change management really starts on the individual level. Humans are naturally resistant to change, and so they have to have support. Individual change management requires understanding how people experience change, how they need to change successfully, what they need to make that happen. It also requires knowing what will help people make a successful transition. What messages do people need to hear, when and from whom? What's the optimal time to teach someone a new skill? How to coach people to demonstrate new behaviors? What makes changes stick in somebody's work world? All those things are vitally important. If you're going to put the investment into changing a culture, then you want to make sure it sticks. You don't want your people going back to doing the same old things that got you into problems in the first place. Interestingly, when BMW came to Greenville, South Carolina in 1996, and I helped set the company up, they were very careful about other cultures creeping in. They did not want to hire someone that worked in another car factory because they bring with them another culture. They wanted their own unique BMW culture. The mistake they made was they hired the former president of Honda to be the new president of BMW North America. And he brought with them something as simple as a little white jacket that they wore inside Honda. Honda's a very clean car factory, as is BMW. That little white jacket almost shipwrecked the entire culture of BMW. They had took them years to get rid of just that one little cultural icon that crept into the society. Every organization has its own culture, and that's very important. But individual change management draws on disciplines like psychology and neuroscience to apply actionable framework to individual change. And so there are supports that you have to put in place. Those are the things that in individual change management you talk about. How are we going to support? How are we going to retrain our people? How are we going to get rid of old things that we want to get rid of and bring in new things? There's also a change at the organizational level. It involves first identifying the groups and people who are going to need to change as a result of the project. What are the new realities of this new project, and in what ways they will need to do that? Organizational change management then involves creating a customized plan for ensuring impacted employees receive the awareness and the leadership and the coaching and the training they need in order to change successfully. In the 10 years I was with BMW, we had almost a program a year to drive organizational change. We went through one called Empowerment, where we empowered employees to make choices and decisions on the line. We went through one called Teamwork, where everyone learned how to work and operate as a team. When I left there, we were working on Black Belt, which was a multifaceted, multi-level change development process. These are very expensive. Many companies pay well over $1 million a year to participate in just one of these programs. And then they have to train all of their people in the program to make it work. So driving successful individual transitions should be the central focus of the activities at the organizational level. How do we move our people, which are our greatest asset? How do we move them toward change and innovation, and at the same time support them, encourage them, motivate them to work? These are just some of the things that you need to think about as we go into this introduction of change management. Very important, something that you will probably encounter many times in your career, because most of you now in this world of work will have 3 different careers. That's the reality. Nobody will work in one career most of their lives, but you may have 3 different careers. So these things are vitally important to your knowledge base and to your experience. Thank you.